Hi, this is Cara and welcome to another art journaling process video. In this one, I change a horrible background into something a bit pretty. As you can see, I've got smeared green paint on my page. I bought some new paints and they had a silver lid on them, which when you peeled back had a lot of paint on. I don't like to waste paint, so I smeared it all over my page thinking I would create a background later. However, every time I looked at this green background, I could not think of what to do and I hated it. It's one of the last pages in my journal now because of that reason. So today I've grabbed out some handmade collage fodder. So these are just some book pages and random bits of paper that I have stamped and stenciled onto using black, and I'm just going to rip them up and basically try and cover up that green mess. I love the texture that you can see through from the page below, but as I said, the green it's not really my colour, especially this kind of green. It was used specifically for another project and it worked for that, but having the excess paint in my journal just did not work for me. So here I am just layering on that collage fodder that I'd made. The stencils on the collage fodder I will list in the description box so you know what stencils I've used to make the collage papers. But it's mostly, in fact, I think all of these ones are just black paint for a stencil. So that's easy to make. I do have a video showing you how to make your own collage fodder. So I will pop that up soon, hopefully. I currently live in Morocco, and in Morocco, I cannot find any matte medium. So I used trusty Google and worked out a way to kind of make my own. That is what you see in the little glass jar there next to my journal. However, it didn't seem to stick so well this time. I think it's because I've had that a little while and that's kind of coming to the end of what I made. Maybe it needs a little bit of something adding to it a bit more. So what I'm actually doing is using some PVA glue straight out of the tube, squirting that on my page, and then using the homemade matte medium to kind of help spread that and adhere it, hopefully. So this is my collaging done. I then still see a lot of green, so I grab out an old store card and my white gesso and just knock that back a little bit so that you can't see so much of the green. And also now I've got kind of gesso on my page, gives me a great base for paint. I do use a hairdryer at the moment to dry my pages. I have a heat tool still in the UK, which hopefully when I go back in April for a quick visit, I will be able to pick up because this hairdryer is quite hot, even on the cool setting. This is a Dina Wakley Media stencil. I believe it's called Connected Dots, but again, that will be linked in the description below. And I'm just adding some blue paint. And then instead of cleaning my stencils, I am adding a spritz of water, turning them over and using the paint that's on the stencil to create another type of look on my page there in 3 places. I quite often stencil and stamp in 3 places on my page. It draws the eye, and 3 or odd numbers, not just 3, are pleasing. So that's why I do things in 3s. There I am again, giving it a quick dry. You can see on the page that there's like a red glow, and that is because, as I said, on the cool setting, that hairdryer is quite hot. So here I am trying to decide which stencil I'm going to grab next out of a few of my favourites. Little bit of a sticking down there that didn't quite stick with my glue stick. So this stencil is one I made myself. It is a template that I got from Cricut. I think that's how you say it, or Cricut. In the UK, when I lived there, I had a machine. and I bought my own stencil sheets and just used some of the stencil designs to create my own stencils, and I also cut some with my own designs. But I can't take credit for this one. It was straight out of the program that you get from Cricut. So yeah, it's lovely numbers. I really like it. Some quite big, some quite small. I actually wish I'd have downloaded and made the lettering one as well, but I didn't at the time because I've got quite a few with words on them. This little stencil is one of my absolute faves. I love circles, and this is like bubbles, and I believe it's from like a cheap, either the pound shop or maybe even a Temu haul. It's very flimsy, the actual stencil, but it works, and as I said, I love circles. So it's like little cells, I suppose. So that was in pink. I did the numbers in like a purple. Again, I will list the paints. And then I've grabbed out a lighter blue. I believe this stencil, I'm not sure if it's a Dina Wakley one or a Paper Artsy one, but I will find out. It's cut. They are bigger than that. I cut it down because we started traveling in a camper van, and I needed space and I needed things to go into little spaces. So where I could, I cut down some of my stencils just so I could keep them all in the little bag that I chose to take with me to travel. So some of them are cut. So it is about 2/3 of an actual stencil, but I will write the name in the description of what the actual stencil is called. Here I am going in with neon pink. I love neon pink. I've also got a neon yellow, but pink just, I don't know, makes my page pop. So I'm just smushing it in with my fingers, just sort of in a few little areas to help balance up the pink of the circles. And I find that I really enjoy painting with my fingers. I know it's not for everybody, but I do love just smushing that paint in with my fingers. And obviously it means I can do that wherever I am as well. You don't need brushes, you don't need sponges if you're just using your fingers. So again, a quick dry off. I do tend to try and dry between layers. I don't like to make mud on my pages, especially when I'm trying to cover up the disaster that was underneath this. So what I'm now doing is trying to find another stencil, as you can see. This one is like, I mean, I'm going to call it, it looks like bricks. Again, it's another cheapy one, so it's probably an Amazon find. I used to teach a lot when I was in the UK. I had a studio, and a lot of stencils were kind of packs, just so that when I did journaling, there was more than one of each, so that everyone could kind of choose, and there was a lot of variety. So again, I've just put some white in just to help the balance of that, and to sort of tone down some of the previous stenciling. And now I'm going in with some splatter. I do love a bit of splatter. This, I believe, looked like I was doing it in the blue, the paint that I already had on my palette there. Just add a bit of water, splatter that all over my page, dry that off, and a little bit of dabbing it off with my kitchen roll there. Just makes it easier to dry, really. And as it is just a background, obviously it doesn't matter too much. So I'm not sure what I do next, but I'm obviously looking for something. Here comes another paint palette. That looks like I've just put on there black. The paint here in Morocco is very plasticky. I'm used to using Dina Wakley media paints, but due to restrictions on the plane, I couldn't bring those with me. However, when I go back in April, I will be bringing them with me because we have chosen hold luggage. So I cannot wait to get my paints back. As I said, these paints dry very plasticky, but I've just got a little stencil with some words on there. Stenciled it through with black. As you can see, the bottom there went, I had too much paint on my sponge basically, and it bled through the stencil. So because I've got many layers, I wiped that off with a baby wipe and dried it because I didn't like the look of it. Now I'm just using that black paint on a sponge to go around the edge of my page. I quite like to border my pages. Sometimes I use pen, sometimes I do this technique with paint or ink pads. But that's pretty much it for this page, I believe. I just wanted to create that background. I may even leave it this way. And here's a few close-ups for you. Just see the lovely texture and the different types of stenciling in there. So anyway, thanks for watching, and please remember to hit like and subscribe or leave me a comment. Bye.